What can you tell us about the show for people who've never heard of it?
Well, first of all, it was created by Craig McCracken of Powerpuff Girls and Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends, and his wife Lauren Faust, who did My Little Pony: Friendship is Magic. She's co-producing and also the story editor on the film on the. Try that again. She's also the story editor on the series, and so the pedigree is really exciting. There's a lot of really good people working on it. And the idea of the show is that Wander is this little happy-go-lucky intergalactic traveler who is every episode's a new planet, new civilization, new aliens with new languages and issues and civilizations, and he explores these worlds on his kind of a horse. Sylvia, that's my character. She's looks like a horse. She can be ridden like a horse, but she's also she's called a Zabornak is her species name, which I think is a nod to B. Arthur's character on Golden Girls. She played Dorothy Zbornak on that show. And Sylvia watches out for him, makes sure he doesn't get in too much trouble, which is not easy. Wander's always looking for the good in people, and that's a dangerous thing to do sometimes when you're naive like that. And she watches out for him, and these are their adventures across the galaxy.
So let's talk about the Zbornaks. Am I saying this right?
The Zbornak.
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 So are we going to meet more of them? Are we going to maybe go on that planet?
That's a really good question. I have not so far seen any others or read about any others, but you never know. So far she's the only one I know of. But
that could be interesting.
That could be interesting. But she's a great character, though.
So let's talk about coming up with the voice for Sylvia. What was sort of your process?
You know, coming up with a voice is always different because you always have a different amount of information available to you. Sometimes you'll see the artwork, like I did Miss Finster in Recess, and when I came in to read for that, she was very jowly, and so you start thinking, well, what would that sound like if you had a lot of skin and blah blah blah, and so the voice just comes out of that. Sometimes you don't get any artwork. Sometimes they don't even know what they want. They'll say, well, I know when I hear it, and you're like, well, okay. I wish I knew what it was, but so it's always different. In this case, I did see the artwork, but I was more interested in their relationship, than her any physicality. I didn't really know that would affect her voice so much. So in this case, it was really all about being protective and being kind of a badass and being a tough girl, and then the characterization all came from that.
So you record the voice before they actually animate it, is that right?
Yeah, a lot of people think that it's the other way around. But if they animated it first and gave it to you to fill in, you'd be stuck with somebody else's ideas and timing and how they thought, how fast or slow the character might talk. And so you'd have to match that. And I think it's much smarter for the actor to come up with something because they may have ad libs or a stutter or something that never occurred to you before, and it's better to do it the other way around.
Have you been surprised once you saw the final product come out of what you did?
I'm always surprised. And whenever I see something that I've done, before the character starts talking, I'm like, oh, they replaced me. I know I'm not in it. I know it's going to be somebody else. That happened to me on The Simpsons, and I never forgot it. So every time I get ready to watch something, I'm like, oh God, please let it be me. And then it starts, and it's just really kind of thrilling. This is interesting because her voice is kind of similar to mine, but sometimes I'll do things where I don't remember doing it. I don't remember, I remember once I was in my car, and there was a radio commercial on, and I was listening to this woman, and I was like, what is this? She's trying to be me. She's doing my thing, and I was like, oh, I'm going to have to find out who this chick is. And I was like, oh, I did this. This is me. I did this like 5 years ago. I totally forgot about it. So I don't, you don't know. It's kind of wild, when the character's really different from your sound to see it. It's kind of exciting. It's always exciting.
And I just can't imagine. It's like,
I was really mad. I was like, this is like my shtick that this girl is doing. And it was me. It's ridiculous.
Do you record by yourself, or do you record with Jack as well?
It depends on schedules. I much prefer to work with him, and they try to do it so that we can be together because it's good for us to bounce off of each other and to have a relationship as people. It's good for us. When we first started the show, we did like 4 full days in a row with everybody there. So Tom Kenny was there, and Keith Ferguson was there, and Jack and me, and that was great, a really good start. Sometimes I'll come in and he's just finishing up, or he's not there, he's doing a film or whatever. So that's my preference, but you never know.
So Sylvia is very pragmatic compared to Wanda. So is that gonna is Wanda gonna rub off a little bit on her, and is she gonna rub off a little bit on him in the future?
The episodes we've done so far, he rubs off on her from time to time, but I don't think I've ever seen him be more pragmatic, or he's just a very optimistic little being and is just never going to look at a situation and see the downside or see the danger. That's just not who he is.
And what has been your favorite planet that they've visited so far?
I don't know how much I can say about these things, but so far my favorite, there's two that I really like. One is a planet, it's a show called The Void, where there's nothing there.
We've been told about this.
Okay, that's right. There's nothing there, and it's anything that they see or come in contact with is what they imagine. So that's a really exciting thing. And then the other one that I love is a giant, a planet that is just a shopping mall. That's a great episode.
Do you wish we had a planet of just shopping malls?
I do for like 10 minutes, and then I would just want to go home or try to find your car. On a planet that's a shopping mall, good luck, you know. You'd be like, Mercury F, where's my... Be impossible.
And if you had one word to describe Wonder Over Yonder, what would it be?
God, it's so hard to just pick. I mean, the first one that comes in my head is lovable because I just adore them. But it's just also, it's so funny, and it's so good-hearted, and it's tough, you know, because if you talk too much about how positive something is and how warm it is, and then you start to think, oh, well, it can't be very funny, you know, because it's hard to be funny and be nice, you know what I mean? Most humor is kind of at somebody's expense. So, but this is a really funny show, and it's very warm at the same time. It's a great show.